There's lots of talk around at the moment about, the process of putting people on furlough or how to manage people remotely and working from home tips and all those things. That's all fantastically useful, and I'm finding it helpful. I think everybody is, which is brilliant. But something we're getting asked a little bit is, how do you deal with a probationary period with somebody who's either been put on furlough or working from home or from a distance, or you can't manage them in the normal way, that kind of thing, and or isn't sort of, if you can't induct them properly or any of those sorts of things. What do you actually do about probation? And we've had some people ask, are you allowed to extend it or do something else with it? The short answer is absolutely yes, because probation is one of those things in employment that isn't actually a thing. It's not actually a legal thing at all. There's no change in employment rights beyond probation as opposed to when you're during probation at all. It's purely a contractual thing. Employment rights are based purely on length of service, basically. So there are some rights you get from day one, and there are some rights you get from 2 years. Nothing else in between. So there's no point at which an employer says, yes, now this person has passed, and then now they're entitled to all these employment rights. It's purely a contractual thing. So it's often about sometimes notice periods increases, or sometimes there are additional benefits that people get, that kind of thing. But all of that would be contained in your contract of employment. Or a relevant policy. So there's no kind of legal concerns about extending probation. You just need to look at the contract that you've got with the employee and see what it says about extending probation and under what circumstances you can or can't do it, and how that actually works. And that's absolutely fine to do. It isn't, sometimes people are worried that, if I extend probation, that automatically sends a message that they're not performing, that they're not good enough. Not necessarily, no, not at all, because probation is a time for both employee and employer to decide whether it's working, whether the employee is going to fit, is going to perform in the role. And if you haven't had a period of time when you can genuinely assess that, because they're on furlough, because they're not in the office, it's fine to then extend it on the basis that you just can't tell, you just can't assess it. And that's not a negative thing at all, and it shouldn't be seen as a negative thing. So if you've got someone who's recently started and you have a 3-month or a 6-month probationary period, and you just are worried that you're not going to get enough evidence to make a decision, it's fine to speak to that person, just say, this is what's happening, this is the situation, we can't manage your probationary period in the same way we normally would, we can't support you in the same way we normally would, we can't assess your performance in the same way we normally would, we want to give you an opportunity to perform really well before we decide. It's an opportunity, it's not a negative thing, and therefore we're extending your probationary period by another 3 months or whatever might be appropriate. So it's absolutely fine to do that, and it's not only fine, it's very sensible.